Welcome, everybody, to the Real Dealz podcast, one of the top real estate investing podcasts on iTunes for the last 7 years. This is the place to be for investing strategies you can actually use, expert interviews, and, of course, some good old-fashioned entertainment. Now, here's your new hosts, Elliott Smith and Cole Rudd Johnson.
What's going on, Real Dealz podcast listeners? We got a show for you today. Starting off the new year right with Justin Severio talking about marketing in 2021. Cole, what is up?
What's up, man? How's it going? We talked about more than just marketing for 2021. We talked about, all around just business strategies, how to effectively get a leg up on your competition this coming year. Which I think is important. I think it's going to be one of the best years of real estate, which we've talked about on a few episodes, but I also at the same time think it's going to be one of the most competitive years. And I don't think there's a better guy to have on with more experience with, direct to seller marketing than Justin to talk about that.
Yeah. You know why? I'm excited because I can feel the momentum in this year. And talking with Justin, we've been talking a lot of strategies with the call center lately. But literally, I have emails. I've been so busy because we just got back on Monday from Scottsdale, and I ended up working like 80% of the Scottsdale trip. But I have guys double emailing me because they've been referred to our call center. Hey, we talked to you like last month. We're ready to go. I missed their email on Monday. They're emailing back. They're like, let's go. We're ready. We know you guys are killing it. And I'm just like, the momentum in the call center, because we just got guys. We had one guy say, hey, we want to double our callers from 2 to 4. Hey, another guy went from 1 to 3. Another guy just went. Guys are increasing it. And it's just like, shit, this is working. We know people are also using direct mail. We know that's working in conjunction. Like guys that are getting after this are killing it. And the guys that are just kind of toe in, toe out are kind of getting left behind. So this is the year, I think, for not only me, but other guys in this industry as well, to really go out and build a business that is real estate and marketing driven to go buy and sell houses at a discount.
Well, yeah, I think most of what a real estate business is a marketing business. Whether you're doing development or you're flipping, or you're doing wholesale, whatever you're doing, you don't have a business if you don't have leads and your pipeline building. And if you're a flipper and your main lead source is other wholesalers, that's still marketing. You're still building relationships with other people to get deals in the door. So I think this whole business is, revolves around marketing. And I think the reason that we're seeing so much success right now in the center is because, our original guys are, 4, 5, 6 months in with us now. And that's the point we really start to see a pipeline build. Yep. So they're getting 2 or 3 contracts a week, and they're getting, 5, 6, 7, 8x return on their spend. And like, holy shit, turn this dial up. Yeah. I think there's not a better time to get into it than now. As long as you're 2 feet in, you jump in and you're ready to roll.
Yeah, you got to have the right systems in place, but and even if you don't have the systems, you're just getting started. Like Justin, we unpack some great action items. We talk about we really go into maybe you're working a full-time job and you're getting into real estate. And I'm a big proponent, I know you are, as Cole is, with this podcast now, is what can you do to take action today, to get started today? This is stuff that can be used if you're brand new or 10 years in the business. What are you doing today to take action? And we really get into that. And so I'm pretty pumped about that.
Yeah. Before we dive into our stuff, I just wanted to piggyback on that. Justin talked a lot about, doing deep dive stuff. So, if you have more time than money, how to execute a good marketing plan if you have more time than money, or if you have more money than time, you've been around a little longer, you have some more cash, how to execute that way. So definitely listen to this whole thing. I don't think this is one of those episodes you should skip through. Listen to the whole thing, rewind it a few times through some of the key segments we got into. Because even me, I just learned a bunch in the last hour from Justin on my end. So I think it's a huge.
Because you haven't been doing direct mail, right?
No, and this is Justin's a big time guy, and I feel like I just got $10,000 worth of worth of game, worth of information in that 1 hour we just had. And it's free. You're putting it out there. So definitely take advantage of this episode.
But if you guys want to send us $10,000, we're more than take it. I'll give you my address.
Elliot needs some new hats. So
Yeah. Yeah. If you're watching this on the video, I got this new Lulu hat and it's freaking amazing because I shaved my head and it's warm. So anyway, what's going on in your world? I know you're back in San Diego. We're going to try to get to Portland today. I'm kind of missing you. I'm having cold withdrawals. I'm trying to plan trips and be with you, but
yeah. So I was up home, Seattle area from mid-November to the New Year, just the family for the 3 holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. Flew back down the other day. I was ready. It was a perfect amount of time, dude, to be back up there and get back down to the sun.
yeah.
But I'm ready to roll, dude. I'm ready to kick 2021's ass.
Dude, you've been on it this week. Like you're like, hey guys, I got this done. Let me jump on this. Hey guys, I got this. Oh, you need help here, dude? I can tell your freaking game face is on for this year.
Yeah, I just feel like I feel like we have so much momentum across the board, and that's the biggest thing in business, momentum. So you have to take advantage of it. Yeah, on the business side, I mean, we have a couple of flips going. Our wholesale pipeline's still rolling. We're actually moving into a new office here beginning next month in Bellevue, kind of a nicer part of town.
You buy out of your lease?
No, that's yeah. I mean, when you sign a 3-year personally guaranteed lease at 19 years old, it's tougher than you think to get out of it.
Well, how long do you have left on it?
Another year. Yeah. So it's opportunity cost though, because we're going to lose more money than that $48,000 for the office if we don't move. So, we're going to move offices. We're going to dial in our wholesale. So we have a bunch of stuff we're trying to implement on that side. So I'm super excited for first quarter this year. I think it's going to be crazy. Stuff's moving pretty fast. What about you?
Yeah, dude, just trying to freaking keep my head above water. Just last week we were in Scottsdale with the whole family, and I probably wasn't the best. There's 17 of us in one house, and I probably wasn't the best.
How big of a house was that? Jeez.
It was big. We stayed out in the freaking shed, out their little converted shed or whatever, with
like Mary with Jesus in the barn.
Yeah, basically. And Monty was in the manger in the laundry room. But I ended up working, but like networking, because that's like, you go to Arizona, I'm a networker. That's what I'm good at. And
that's your job pretty much.
That's my job. And so like, that's what I did. And it worked really well. I met this guy, that's a realtor down there that I think he's going to use our service. Met another guy, it was a good trip. And then just got back to this, like, it's funny because even 4 months ago, 6 months ago, before you started this call center, there was never a day that I didn't check my social media or texting or stuff throughout the day. Literally, I have had more days than I can count that it'll be like 8, 9 o'clock. And I'm like, I haven't responded to emails. I haven't checked Instagram. I haven't checked Facebook because I've been so freaking busy. Like, it just doesn't happen. But it's like a good busy, you know what I mean? It's like you're in the trenches with your good buddies, like you and Tucker, grinding out, and I'm in the trenches with Chrissy grinding out. We did a lot of stuff last year. So it's a good busy, right? It's a fun, exciting busy.
Well, your theme for 2021 was that catapult you kept talking about, how you're pulling it.
Yeah.
And I think right now it's the time where it's kind of going forward. So
yeah, dude, seriously, I think they're starting to push the button, dude. I think they literally do. So, but I just think I got a meeting today with a kid that's been doing some. I've been helping him with some real estate. He reached out to me from the podcast, but he's really good on the phones, and he's going to kind of work with me as a leads manager. He's moving to Florida. He's going to work with me as a leads manager because I'm terrible at training leads managers, but I need one. But he's really good at it. And so then we kind of have a deal where, I'm going to pay him. And then he's also, and I'll help him with real estate in his area, help him get going. And then before he quits, he has to train another leads manager. So that helps me there. But he's been doing stuff. I've tested him over the last couple of months, and he's actually really good at it. So excited about that. Monty, dude, anybody that's got a 2-year-old, God, he's getting fun. I mean, Cole, you've been over to our house. Like, it's just every week, it's just exponentially growing. And a proud dad moment, we're teaching him numbers in English and Spanish. And I had this little thing that he was playing in the bath, and they have numbers. These cups have numbers on the bottom. So I pull it up. The number's 8. I said, hey, buddy, what is this number? And normally we just count 1 to 10. He just follows along with me or does it with me. I show him the number and he says, thinks about it for a second. Then he says, Ocho. And I'm like, what the frick? Dude, I was blown away. So it's, how much they learn. But then I also learned I was in the elevator in Scottsdale and I went the wrong way and I said, shit. And all of a sudden you hear from the stroller, shit. And I'm like, so little sponge. But so one real thing we didn't talk about in the show, Cole, because you weren't with Danny on the show with Danny last week. So I kind of waited this week because I was on vacation, guys, because Cole and I every week are going to be doing one action item that we're going to work on for at least a week, and we're going to try to implement it, and then we're going to talk about it on the show next week when we did it. So Danny's, we're going to start this week. Danny came out and said, time blocking was very important, but having your most important task. So I think he named it like his MIT or whatever, most important task for the day. And because like as business owners, you can spend the whole day and be busy putting out fires, but you actually don't accomplish anything towards your goals, right? So he had one thing that blocked out, no matter what, I do my most important task for the day. So I want to start doing that for at least a week until we do our next show. And then work on that.
That's huge. I think there's one guy I follow too on a few social media platforms. He talks about like the one big thing.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll set aside 3 hours, like 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. That's his one big thing he has to get done for the day. So, I think that's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I always feel like I'm busy, but I'm just like constantly putting out this fire, and then nothing's ever actually, no momentums. Chrissy and I aren't sitting down and building our business or working on our business. We're working in our business, right? And like planning who's our hire, where are we going? What's our strategy? Kind of like you're doing right now. You're moving offices, you're planning, you're being strategic about things like that, working on your business. So I think that's one thing that you always do really well is you work on your business, not in your business.
As much as I can. That's the goal.
So, all right, guys. Well, looking forward to 2021. First full year, Cole and Elliot on the podcast.
First full year being friends.
What?
First full year of being friends.
I know, dude. It feels like we've been it's like I've known you since you were 12. Well, you basically are. So I guess we, it was pretty close, but I'm just kidding.
I'm the same distance from 12 as I am to your age. So
yeah, true that. Yeah. But anyway, I think life is just good. Like right now, guys, I think there's a lot of noise in this world on both sides and so much in the news. Really, if I can help you, like my goal too this year is to focus. That's my main one goal. Focus. Don't let the noise freaking take you away from your goals and your life that you can go build for yourself. It is possible. I mean, Cole and I are from two different perspectives in life and we're living the dream. Somebody asked me like, what's your dream? And I said, I don't know. I'm living it right now. It's not sunshine and rainbows every day, but I literally am living it because you're working with good people. I have a great wife. I have a great family. So Cole, I appreciate you. And I'm looking forward to growing our relationship this year and growing this podcast and growing this platform.
I'm too, man. Yeah. I think this is a really good episode to one of the first ones for the year.
Yep. All right, guys, signing off. We'll catch you next week.
All right, Real Dealz podcast listeners, I want to talk quickly about our show's sponsor, Iron Bridge Lending. If you guys have not reached out to Iron Bridge already to talk to them about funding some of your upcoming flip projects, I highly encourage you to do so. I've known the owner of Iron Bridge for a very long time. I personally borrowed millions of dollars from them over the years to do a number of different projects, and I can say without a doubt, they are the best hard money lending company I have ever come across, and that is the reason why they are the sole sponsor of this show. I've had a lot of other companies reach out to me and want to sponsor this show, but I just won't do it. I feel like I need to be genuine in who we have sponsoring the show, and it needs to be somebody that I've personally done a ton of business with. So I personally vouch for their ability to be the best, hands down, in the world of hard money lending. You won't find better programs, you won't find better terms, and they're lending or will be lending in over 20 states. So chances are, if you're hearing this in whatever state you're in, it's definitely worth it to check out their website, reach out to them, see if they're lending in your state, and if they are, I would absolutely encourage you to do business with them. Another very cool thing to note is that they have a program for most rehabs where you can actually borrow up to 90% of the purchase price. Now, this is given the fact that you are actually buying a deal, which if you're listening to the show, that means you probably are. But if you have an actual deal on the table, they'll fund up to 90% of your purchase price, and they'll even give you rehab funds on top of that, which means that it only takes 10% down to get into a project, which is unbelievable in the hard money world. So Do yourself a favor, reach out to Ironbridge Lending, have a conversation with them, see if they're a good fit for you and for your next project. I can guarantee you that you'll be happy that you did.
What's going on, Real Dealz podcast listeners? We are here with my longtime friend and good buddy and Cole's new best friend, Justin Severio, longtime friend of the show, longtime friend of Tucker. Justin Severio, Open Letter Marketing. What's going on, Justin?
What's going on, guys? How's it going?
Yeah, man. Welcome on. I'm super excited for the show. You are really, really good at a lot of types of marketing that I never got good at. So I have a lot of questions for you that I think everyone listening will have the same questions. So I'm excited for this one.
Awesome, man. I'm pumped to be on.
Yeah. So Justin, I know you've been on the show a couple of times with Tucker because you and Tucker do you do some coaching together, and you've always been a big proponent, and you guys have helped each other grow over the years. But why don't you, if people are new, why don't you just give a brief overview of who you are, where you got started, and where you're located now, and also talk about fast forward to nowadays of what you guys did for the last 2 months.
Sounds good, man. All right. So I got started in real estate in 2010. I was working my day job and just wanted my own independence and doing something different. And I came across house flipping. So thought that was interesting, but I was really concerned about getting started myself and wanted to leverage somebody else that knew construction much better than I did. I was really good with numbers. I was an accountant. So luckily my father was a GC, and he was a GC for about 35 years. So we teamed up and we started, we bought our first house, flipped that, made like 13 grand. He was kind of disappointed. I was super pumped because I learned and earned. And then we just grew from there and continued on and did better and better and got better with, efficiencies and process and all of that.
Let me ask you a quick question. Going back to the accountant thing. Now, are you like the type of accountant like Ben Affleck was in the movie The Accountant? Like, is that the type of accountant you were?
Depends how irritated you get me.
So you kind of scale. I feel like the natural progression. Someone hears about real estate, you go on YouTube, they start trying to wholesale. You just went straight into flipping.
I did kind of the opposite. So yeah, I wanted to get into real estate, but I knew I needed to understand construction better. And I'm thankful that I had my father there because it gave me the unique ability to really learn construction and numbers and figuring all that stuff out. So then fast forward 5 years from when I started, I left my full-time job and then I started to wholesale more. And I was very successful with wholesaling right off the bat because I knew my construction numbers, and the people that I was wholesaling my properties to, they knew they could rely on my numbers because it was very accurate. And I did a lot of things to make sure that my numbers was consistent with theirs, like asking them at the end of the project, what were your construction numbers? Where were you with ARV? What did you actually sell it for? And comparing against what my projection was.
And I think that's a huge thing because so many new wholesalers, especially, they get kind of, stuck selling a deal and they lose out on a lot of money over the first year or two when they don't know how the construction, they don't know what, rehab costs. They're losing, maybe 5-10% of their assignment fee on every single deal. That adds up over the year. And then on the other end, they're also promising sellers a price that they can't actually pay them because they walk the house, they don't understand rehab. So then they're trying to backtrack, 5 days before they get to the closing table because they can't find a buyer, and it's a mess all around. So I think that's almost the right way to do it. Like pay to learn, pay to play, learn the whole game that way. And then you can wholesale with the right way.
Yeah, it's definitely more challenging, right? It has more challenges, but at the end of the day, understanding construction numbers, ARV, those are two huge aspects that a lot of wholesalers go wrong with. And not only that, like I could go on and on about like how I wholesale, my methodology and process to make sure I earn bigger spreads, but just continuing on with my kind of life cycle of where I got to, like where I am today. So I was rehabbing a number of properties. My father and I decided, he said, at a point in time, you feel super comfortable. He's like, just buy me out of the company and just keep on going. So that was his overall goal, was just to get me moving, which I did. And then I left my full-time job. And at that point in time, back in 2016, I started open letter marketing because at the time, from the beginning, I was always finding my deals direct to seller. I was always going direct to seller, even though, you could still find properties on the MLS. I was always going direct to seller because I knew the importance of creating your own deal flow. And I was doing it in a very unique way than anybody else was. And I got really good at it. So that's when I started to offer direct mail products and other direct to seller marketing services to other people because I knew it worked. I had hands-on experience, and I wanted to make sure other people had the opportunity to use the same stuff because there was just a huge void in the market.
But you also, Justin, you also did that though because you have that accountant mindset too, right? Because you wanted to make sure you had some kind of income before you quit your job to replace an income. Yep. So talk about that, because I feel like a lot of people they get so excited about real estate. And, Cole was different because he's 18 and he could fall flat on his face 100 times. And, it would suck, but he didn't have a family or things like that. You had kids at the time. And so how did you do that? We did the same thing. We saved money and, did it for a while before we actually quit our job. So talk about that briefly.
Yeah. I mean, going into it, I had a wife and I had 2 kids at the time. So,
well, still,
and I was the sole provider. My what'd you say?
You still have 2 kids.
Yeah. Well, at the time, right? So I had these things to think about, and my wife stayed home with the kids, and I was the only one that was working. So I had to make sure, and as an accountant, I'm super conservative. I wanted to make sure that, I could still provide for the family. And a salary is probably one of the most addicting things in the world. People are scared to leave their job because a salary is so consistent and easy to get.
Yep.
But I wanted to replace my salary with consistency. So that was another aspect that I said, real estate's great. It gives you huge, pockets of money here and there. But I like the consistency. I want a cash flow business so that I can cash flow for all my daily needs. And then I can invest more in real estate and build that and keep on moving with it.
Okay, I have one question. Yeah, I have one question because I was talking to this kid that last night, and he's one of the smartest 21-year-olds I've met, and he's very mature, and he's trying to figure out, I think he's got a little bit of that, life where people are like, get a safe, secure job, that's the way to do it. And then but he wants to be an entrepreneur too. And so he's kind of getting pulled in different directions, and there's no right or wrong answer here, but I think you guys have a really similar personality. So maybe speak to that. If you're a 21-year-old kid, a little bit of how you would look at that with your accountant, safety, security mindset and wanting to be an entrepreneur too, really quick.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I thought about that a lot too, because you hear the word entrepreneur and you think everybody thinks it's so sexy and they want to do it. And that's like the goal for them. But they have to realize that might not be the right move. Like you could be, if you become an entrepreneur, you could, crash and burn. But if you became the number 2, a COO at somebody and worked your way up through a company, you could be way more successful with that than an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. So to start off in the beginning, understand what is actually required and really think about if you want to become an entrepreneur and have all of this risk and all the things that come along with entrepreneurship. Don't just look at it, it's like it's sexy and I have to do that to be successful. That is not true at all. You can be much more successful as a number 2 in a different company than you can be as an entrepreneur.
I think the issue is with Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and Facebook, as people go on there and there's this crazy influx of Lamborghinis and Ferraris and private jets, and you don't know the real story or what MLM they're part of. And then I was listening to a podcast. It's actually like being an entrepreneur and starting a business is actually one of the worst ways to get rich.
Especially in real estate. Yeah. Starting out in real estate is one of the worst ways. People hold their wealth in real estate. They don't, you know what I mean?
And I feel like a wholesale business, fix and flip business, one of the harder businesses to scale, because now we have a service-based business as well. And it's so much easier to scale because you can predict revenue a lot better than you can on a subscription or a product-based model than you can with real estate. Because it's all based around when people want to sell, there's a lot of moving pieces. So just kind of piggybacking on your point, I think that it's sexy to a lot of people, but it's once you're in it and you're really reliant on that for your income, I think it brings a lot of headaches that I think most people just don't want to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And that's why a lot of people like stop after a while, because they don't think it's as easy as they originally thought. So that's why, like, if you have the biggest thing is just having the, passion for it. Like I love real estate. I absolutely love it. I love, I guess Elliot doesn't really feel that. It's more of a vehicle for him for wealth. But I really do love real estate. And I think I got that from my father, seeing him build homes, doing additions, taking raw materials from a raw material to like a final product where people can live in. Like that's just amazing to me. So I do really love real estate and everything that it can provide. But I'm also passionate about the process. Like I love creating these different businesses that I have, like getting to seeing the growth. That's amazing, but it's I really do love the process of it. And if people do have that feeling and that interest and that passion to do that, then awesome. Like entrepreneurship, go into it more. Know that there's going to be tons of lows, like really, really lows, and tons of highs.
Yeah.
But it's a roller coaster every single day. And I can have those emotions in the same day.
Multiple times a day.
Yeah. It's
So,
crazy.
It's funny that you say that because, and I made that face when Justin, if you're listening, I made a face when Justin said he loves real estate. And I don't really love real estate in the sense where like, I like the deal side of it. And I like that, but I don't really I don't get excited when I walk into a house like my wife does, like, oh, look at this. It's just a thing to me. You know what I mean? And so, but we started this call center, Justin, as you know, and you were on the first calls when Cole and I were getting ready to start this. And, up until this last 2020, I was golfing 150 rounds a year. I wasn't really that passionate about flipping houses. Like I was working 15, 20 hours a week and then we were making good money, but you always had to find what's your next paycheck, what's your next thing. And when you speak about the process, I always thought I wasn't a process guy until I'm getting into this call center and seeing this buildable, scalable, sellable business grow, and the effort that I put in is still generating revenue and consistent revenue and creating more revenue on a monthly basis. And that process and working, because we worked really closely with Justin on a lot of our stuff, and it's really exciting to see that progression even in a short amount of time. And dude, my stress level, I mean, if you're looking on here, look at my freaking hair already. I had hair last year when we started the call center. I'm losing it. So the stress is high, but it's really fun. You know what I mean? I like that up and down. I like the excitement of the like you said, the process building. So
well, I think the call center hits on your strengths. So I think a lot of people, if they do choose entrepreneurship and they stay in the game long enough, they'll eventually figure out their strengths and be able to play to those. Like you're a people person, so you love it because you're talking to people all day.
yeah.
I had to hire out parts of my business that weren't my strengths. So I think that comes with time eventually. Like Justin, you're saying how much you, with your account in mind, you love what you're doing now with adding on all the arms of your business. So I think it's going to suck at first, but I think eventually if you're in it 3, 4, 5 years, you start to realize what you're good at, and then you start to kind of enjoy it.
Yeah, you have to come in with the right mindset, right? It's not going to be super easy, as easy as maybe social media makes it off to be. But consistency, driving every day, making sure that you're just have a focus on what you want to do and consistently build at that. That's the most important thing. Just being consistent with everything that you need to do, and making sure that you're executing and focused on the end goal.
And wouldn't you say too, Justin, like, and I think to your guys' point, and going back to say that 21-year-old kid I was talking about, and you were saying being a number 2, like maybe you're not this best at this. So you go find that person, right? Like Cole's saying, and you're saying like, you're really good at like putting these deals together and putting the systems and having this vision and this plan, but you're really good at executing every day. And you're a good implementer, Justin. Cole's a good implementer. I'm a more of the visionary, sporadic. And so you need both, right? And so maybe speak to that a little bit from what you found with building those businesses briefly, and then we'll kind of get into marketing.
All right, podcast listeners, I want to take a quick break, and I want to tell you about something I'm very passionate about, and that is our Deal Finders Academy, or the DFA, as many of you have probably heard me refer to it as. Now, the DFA has been around for almost 7 years, which is amazing that we've had it around that long, and we've had one hell of a track record. with some of the biggest names from across this business having been a part of the DFA or are still a part of it today. And some of those names, just to drop a few on you, are Justin Silverio from Open Letter Marketing, Ryan Dossie from Call Porter, Jason Nickel from a little company called Lead Sherpa, Anson Young from Bigger Pockets, of course, many of you know him. How about Robert Hyder and Philip Vincent, two fine gentlemen from the greater St. Louis area who need no introduction, are very well known. How about Mr. Danny O'Bannon, the original Spokane project, a guy that I pulled back out of a day job and turned him into a crazy successful real estate investor. And of course, Artem Tepler, who's building hundreds of millions of dollars worth of multifamily all over the greater Los Angeles area. And of course, last but not least, both Cole and Elliot, who are now the hosts of this show. So as you can see, the list goes on, and there's so many other people that I didn't mention there that I've gotten the good fortune of getting to know and that are a part of the community now that are just amazing people and even more amazing investors. But for you that are a listener of the show that may be thinking, hey, you know what? I might be interested in joining that group. Here's what you get, right? Well, number one is you get to be a part of this amazing community. You get the connections. You get everything that comes along with a small and very tight-knit type mastermind, a group that isn't so big that you feel like you can't converse with people, you can't have conversations, because that's where you kind of get lost in the weeds. You want one that is just big enough that it's got reach and you've got these people that you can connect with that are amazing in their own right, but not so big that you just feel overwhelmed. And that is exactly what the DFA is. We have about 120, 125 people in the group, which is just the perfect size. And the reason why it stays at that size is because we don't overlap investors, right? One investor per one area. And that's why most people stay with us for a very long time, because by being a part of the group, you get access to all of our secret marketing strategies, negotiation strategies, tips, tricks, everything else you could possibly think of so that you can have those competitive advantages in your area and also be able to utilize the network that the DFA is, which, as you can tell, it's an amazing network. I do business with lots of people that have been in it or are currently in it right now, and plenty of other people in the group have made lifelong friendships and business partnerships within the group also. So if you're interested in joining the DFA, which I strongly encourage you to do, go to thedealfindersacademy.com, book a call, you'll chat with Dan, we'll see if we've got room in your market for you, and if we do, we'd love to make you our next DFA member.
Yeah, as you grow, naturally, you're not going to have time for everything, and it's going to, like in the beginning, I felt like I needed to do so many different things, especially when I had a project, like, go take a look at the construction, make sure the contractors are there on time, making sure they're doing the right things, making sure the results proper. Finding new deals, looking at, the sales process, continuing to market. Like there's so many things that you have to do when you start, that as you continue to scale, you have to start to build leverage. And the way that you build that leverage is by either other people or, money. So to your point, like as you continue to scale, you have to naturally bring on more people. So once you start becoming good, the biggest thing that I wish I went back to and did faster was hire people. That's the biggest thing that I wish I did. I was slow, and most people are, because most people think the same way. They don't want to spend money until they make money. But they see their company growing, but then they're like, well, then if I hire somebody else, this profit has to go to hiring somebody. And now I'm going back down to almost the beginning piece where I'm just making a little bit of money. But understanding that hiring someone that has strengths that you don't have or can fill in the gaps to give you more freedom to work on those high ticket items, right? The revenue generating items, that is amazingly powerful. And I wish I could go back and hire much faster than I did, because I guarantee my businesses would be probably bigger than they are right now.
Which are pretty big. So
yeah. So that is one of the biggest things that I learned now that I wish I did earlier for everybody listening.
I think that comes from I think the personality that gets people into starting their own business, the same one that I cannot let go of. I can do everything better than someone else can, and letting go of the vine on that. So I still struggle with that, but every time I take that, I bridge that gap and I pay someone, a good amount of money to do a job, it ends up, I never regret it. Never regretted it. So I kind of want to transition into marketing in 2021 here. Let's say I'm a whatever 25, 35. Have a good amount of money saved up. I'm getting into real estate. I know the basics. I know you work with a lot of people who are in different positions, but what are you telling people on the marketing side for 2021 and beyond of what they should put their money into? I don't know how deep you want to dive down that rabbit hole.
And maybe how that shifted from years past.
Yep.
Yeah. So first off, just to let you know, like I feel that 2021 is going to be a very strong year for real estate, like extremely strong year.
Hey, Justin, we don't care about your opinions here.
Can we mute him? Is there a way to mute him? So going into 2021, right? Years past, competition was always still there and very strong. But when you look at like 2013, 2014, competition wasn't as much as it is today, especially on the direct to seller field. So right now, if anybody's finding deals in the MLS, I'd be completely shocked. So everything that I recommend people do is direct to seller marketing. And you can still do that. If people don't have money or time, I look at marketing with two aspects. If you have more time than money, take the marketing approaches that take more of your time, right? You can cold call yourself, you can door knock yourself. But if you have more money than time, maybe someone that has a full-time job and is trying to get into real estate part-time, and they have a good salary and they have some money and they want to leverage someone else to do the stuff because they don't have the time, then leverage those marketing activities that are going to take more of your money, but less of your time. So things like that, you could do direct mail, you could do, texting, RVM, you can outsource cold calling. So I always like to have people take that approach because it's going to be different for each person and what they have time or money to do. So that's kind of the first approach that somebody should look back and see what is best for them. Going into 2021, things are obviously going to remain competitive, very competitive market since the real estate market is extremely strong. So finding deals is and has been the last couple of years the key to success. If you find the deal flow, you will generate money. Selling properties is not going to be difficult at all right now. So with that, like what I've been doing for the last few years is taking a layered approach on my marketing. So making sure that I'm hitting my prospects from different avenues, not just direct mail, but like I mentioned, ringless voicemail, text messaging, and doing it in a way that that builds on top of each other and shows somebody that you're coming from different angles, so they remember you more. So that's kind of the big thing for me, and I can drill down because there is many different approaches to this.
I think that'd be awesome to drill down on that a little bit. Because I feel like a lot of people that listen to our show, at least that I've gotten feedback from, are in that boat of, maybe they've done a deal or two or three.
Yep.
But it's really hit and miss. Their ROIs kind of all over the place.
Yep.
We're throwing money at the wall, just hoping it sticks. So
cool.
If you could, Ellie, I don't know if you want to add to that.
Yeah, I want to add one thing, and also let's speak a little bit too, because what I've noticed with the cold calling, as I've sold it more with guys all over the country. I mean, we're in like 10 different states, 12 different states, and there is a big difference between a San Francisco and an Oklahoma City, right? There is a big difference in markets, and I know like there's markets that are high volume, lower profit, and so maybe speak to like, a strategy that maybe can hit both, and that how you would still go on both type of markets, and just understanding that you might be more expensive per deal on coastal versus middle of the country.
Yeah. So just to speak on that, I mean, when you look at different markets, right, San Francisco versus Oklahoma, price points are going to be wildly different, and your potential profit is going to be wildly different as well. So when I talk to people that are marketing, and some of my coaching students as well, the cost that it takes to get a deal is going to be different. However, that's okay, because if the Oklahoma person, it only costs them maybe $1,000 to get a lead, but they're wholesaling something like $15,000, right? That differential makes sense. Likewise, somebody in San Francisco, it might cost them $15,000 to get a deal, but if they're making $100,000, it still makes sense. Yep. But the cost per lead or deal is hugely different, but for both of them, it's okay because they're making a lot more profit on the cost that it's taking. So that's one big thing for people to understand, because if they're like, hey, what's your response rate, or what's your this or that, or cost per deal, you shouldn't look at other people unless they're in the specific same market as you, because there's so many different variables.
Now, would you say, really quick to piggyback on that, would you say that if I'm in Oklahoma versus San Francisco, would I do the same thing, same process, build the same team, and even with both of those models, I would have a very similar team and process?
It depends. So I can go into like more. So I look at marketing as kind of a twofold strategy. And for those people that are starting out and want to make sure that they increase their efficiency and effectiveness for their marketing, the best strategy that I have used for a long time and that I highly recommend is, even before you do marketing, understanding your leads or your prospects better. I don't think people take the time to really learn about the prospects and finding which ones are high quality prospects versus low quality prospects. And I'll give you an example of that. Most investors are not marketers, right? We know that. So my goal is to get them to be marketing experts. And it's hard to do that because they need a lot of education, because it's foreign to them. So what we try to do at Open Letter Marketing, and even the software that we're bringing out to the public, is to get them to understand how to quantify or qualify their leads differently. So if you have and I'll ask you guys the question, is a driving for dollars lead or a prospect as good of a quality as an equity prospect?
I've always liked driving for dollars better than.
I mean, it's not as scalable.
Right. It's not as scalable. However, the quality of the prospect on the driving for dollars, to me, is a much higher quality prospect than it is an equity prospect. And the reason why is because equity leads you can pull very easily. Driving for dollars, it takes more time and energy to find those properties. Now, take those same prospects, and now what if a prospect is on a driving for dollars list, an absentee list, a code violation list? Is that lead a better lead than somebody that's just on an equity list? Like
100 times better.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So people have these different quality of leads or prospects. They just don't understand that they do have them. So to the best of their ability to segment their prospects and finding the really high quality ones versus the medium quality or low quality, they can now really focus their time and energy on their high quality prospects. And their rate of closing the deals is going to be much higher, and their ROI is going to increase because they're spending their time and energy in the right places, right? So now if they have a list of 10,000, but of those 10,000, they only have 1,000 or 2,000 super high quality leads because they're on multiple lists, focus on those ones. And if you don't have as much money or time, just focus on those 2,000. Don't try to spend your money to all 10,000. You're going to run out of money really quickly, and you're not going to have a lot to show for it. So that's where I see a lot of people going wrong, is they try to do the same marketing approach for all of their leads versus really niching down and finding those best quality leads and just focusing on those ones. That's where I think the big misstep is that people really need to focus on.
So piggybacking on that a little bit, so that's how you think people can get ahead in 21 then, with how competitive it is? Because most investors, wholesale flippers, they're not going to do that. They're not going to sit down and try to figure out how to stack their list and do that. Even though your software makes it super easy, and there's other softwares as well that make it super easy, 95% of investors are not going to do that. So yep. I think people listening, that's everything you just said is a really, really good way to get a leg up on everyone else in 2021 and beyond with how competitive it is. If you can sit down and hammer that out and really build a really qualified list of really good prospects, your ROI is going to be a lot better.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, like there's other, and I'll talk about another strategy going back to San Francisco. But this is what this.
Can I piggyback on that really quick?
Yeah.
So I just want to unwind what he just said, guys. And so really what he's saying is, if you're getting started and your finances are limited, it's not to say that you don't market to those 10,000 leads, you don't want to market to all of them, but if you're limited on time and resources, you spend your energy on those 1,000 or 2,000. And really what it is it's really a sniper approach, more of a sniper approach than a machine gun approach. So like our cold call center does more of a machine gun approach. So we pull a longer, wider net list that hits multiple people, and it produces daily lead flow, but it's going to be your close rate on those deals or those leads are going to be really a lot lower versus it. Then you would also have a sniper list that you go after, that your response rate and your lead flow might be lower, but your close rate could be a lot higher. So you want to, if you can do just one, do the sniper approach. If you can do both, then you have both to continually have leads coming in the door to work with the machine gun marketing, but then you're also focusing on those sniper ones, because a lot of times the machine gun leads pay the bills. The sniper ones make your year, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, like for our business, we do exactly that. Like we have 10 to 20 cold callers at any time. We have a more shotgun approach we go, and we also go more targeted. And our more targeted list, where we did $175,000 wholesale in 2020. And that was from a more targeted list. So I thank you for unwinding that, Elliot. That made it a lot more clear.
Yeah. And just to add on to that, so just going back to what you guys were saying, like, not all wholesalers and investors are going to do what I just said. And like, that's going to be the difference from being successful and not successful in my eyes. Like, if you don't want to do that, or you don't think it's important, so be it. I'm going to do it, and I will be, have a much higher return on my marketing spend. My biggest thing is like, I want to make more money than I'm spending, right? Obviously with my marketing.
What?
And the best way to do that.
Maybe you should run for Congress. I don't think they've got that memo yet.
So the best way that I can do it is spend more. Like, I've always seen a huge amount of value in really looking at the leads before you start marketing. You're going to spend a lot of money. So why not niche it down? So that strategy, I think, works really well for the people that have limited time, just getting started, limited money, and really want to go sniper approach. If somebody comes in and they're like, hey, I got a good amount of money, I want to get started with this, what do I need to do? Well, you guys said, taking that sniper approach, and if you have those 10,000 leads, maybe you're marketing to not only the high quality, but the medium quality as well, but also going much broader in doing cold calling.
Yep.
And I think like the sniper approach and cold calling work really well together, because as you guys said, you're going to churn, you're going to get more calls, more leads in the door right away. Where the marketing, the sniper approach, it takes time to build momentum. Yep. There's no question about it. It takes time to build momentum. So as you're building momentum, and usually it could take about, from what I've seen through thousands and thousands of customers, it generally takes about, 3 touches, 3 rotations of your marketing cycle to really generate some good deal flow and get deals. With cold calling, as they're building up that kind of momentum, your cold calling is getting calls right in the door from day one.
Correct.
So now you're already starting to build your lead funnel. And
which then backwards to that, Justin, is it's still the 3 touches or more thought process. It's just we're getting them on the phone sooner, but then we have to spend that time to incubate them with a 1 to 3 month cycle where you're touching them multiple times, because they're probably, when you call them, they're going to be like, I want retail XXX, but they won't tell you their motivation. And so then you find out their motivation while you're touching them over time. So you're still doing that 3 touch, right? And that same deal, it's just different. You're building a relationship in their mailbox versus on the phone. I mean, there's two, so it's all about, with people, you have to build, especially in this world, you have to build, people want to know, like, and trust you, the people they do business with, and you have to build that one way or another.
Yep. Yeah. And it takes time, and it just takes the the more times that they see you, the more times they trust you. It's just like I always say, does anybody not know who Coca-Cola is? Everybody knows who they are, but they still market because they want to be in your face. And when you think of a soda, they want you to buy a Coca-Cola. So that's the big thing.
Yeah, it's funny. I had a same analogy with these guys a couple months ago, because they wanted to put all these things in the script, right? And all these different things. They do all these different programs. I said, use the exact same. When Coca-Cola runs advertising, which they still do, even though everybody knows them, do they advertise Coca-Cola, Coke Zero, Dasani water, Gatorade, the whole everything all at once? No, they do Coca-Cola or they do Coke Zero. They do it separately, right? And so you're speaking to that and you're building a story on Coca-Cola. So for Christmas, it's the Bears. It's, it's a story throughout the year. And that's what you're doing with marketing is you're telling a story and building brand loyalty.
Yeah.
Jeff,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I kind of have a selfish question, but you can finish that, whatever you're about to say.
One thing. So people should understand too, that don't look at these marketing avenues independently, because it's the power of using them all together is what is so dramatically better, and hitting them from different. So it's not 1 + 1 = 2. It's really 1 + 1 = 5. So when they're seeing you from these different angles, you're doing the math.
Mm-hmm.
when people are seeing you from these different angles, the touch points that you're doing, and from it means a lot more. It provides more trust and rapport as a business.
Yeah, because some sellers they'll sell to you over the phone, but they're not going to respond to a text.
Yep.
Some will call back a voicemail, but aren't going to respond to a mail piece.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell people we have probably 10, 15 clients all in Seattle from our call center where my business is, and they're all the same question every time is, aren't we going to run into the same people? And I'm like, no, because even that nuance of how your sales team is going to talk to them versus ours is enough that we're going to get different deals.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I kind of want to ask you a more drilled down question, kind of from my own interest, that I think other people will get value from it too. On the mailing side, I've never been that good at mailing. Like I've never been good. We've never done consistent deals from mailing. What are some ways people listening to this, if they're going to mail, we can talk about other marketing channels too, but how can you stand out with mail campaigns? I mean, you've seen tens of thousands of mail campaigns go out. What are some things you've seen that the most successful ones have in common?
I would say the most important thing is just being consistent. So as far as standing out, I've spent a lot of time to look at I look at direct mail, not only as a one-touch mail piece, but as people should be building campaigns. Every mail piece that you send should be built out and talked about over the last one. So they should work in a sequence, and you should be providing the prospect with more information as you go along with your campaign. So, and that also goes to show that when I send out my first mail piece, it might be a handwritten letter that's short and to the point. And based on that first mail piece, I know I'm going to get more calls, but less quality calls.
Gotcha.
And then as my marketing cycle keeps going on, I'm providing more information and input. I'm changing up the style of mailers. It might be postcard, handwritten letter, professional letter, trifold flyers. And we're always testing out new products to see what works really well and adding them into our marketing campaigns. So we're doing all these different things to touch them from different angles, to do handwritten letters, because to your point, some people like handwritten letters versus professional letters, depending on their experience and what they like to read. Yeah. So that's kind of our process, is building a full-on campaign and not looking at it from a one-touch perspective.
I gotcha.
And so anybody that's watching this, this will be on YouTube if you want to watch this as well. But so this is one of the envelopes that we use. As you can see, it comes off very friendly. Somebody wants to open that. That's going to be a handwritten letter. And then we cycled down through, the professional to postcards to other things. And then when we go back to our sniper approach, I actually built these last year. These are video mailers that have an LCD screen in there that pops up with me and a video of Elliot. These now are more expensive, but they tell a story of professional, as a professional, right? So those are my sniper direct mail leads that hit 10 different boxes, right? Or speak to a specific probate or development deal after I've told a story in their mailbox and I've niched down my list. So right now, we have our VA going through on a development list, and we gave him rankings. And so he's ranking properties based on our criteria from a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then those things get different marketing. So the ones are going to get a higher cost per marketing spend because there's a lot less of them versus down the line. And so you build that campaign to speak to that type of lead and build your budget around that by telling a story.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. And that's essentially similar to what I do as far as like the high, medium, low quality, right? The low quality are going to get the cheaper kind of marketing. I'm not going to spend as much time and focus and cost on them, but the high quality ones, I'm going to do these extra things.
Yeah.
And the really super high quality, you can handwrite your own letters. You can do the stuff that you just showed. I mean, that's huge to get yourself noticed. I know other people in much larger markets where, a deal for them is $1 million in profit. So they're sending like fruit baskets to individual people, right?
Yep.
They're doing these different strategies to get them noticed. The cost is much higher, but also the profit potential is much greater.
I think people forget there's like a human being on the other side of marketing, whatever it's called, or texting. Like you feel like you're just sending stuff out, but there's a person that's getting that piece. So the more customized you can make it, obviously it's cost relative. The better your return on investment is going to be. Like, I think the reason that we, like our cold call center was so successful is because our script is built around the seller, and, actually finding out their needs, not just, asking the same scripted questions every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think if you're in a larger market too, read that book Giftology, because Justin, you make a great point. Like if I'm going after a lead, like a development lead or a land lead or whatever, or, and it's $1 million profit kind of deal where I can buy that at a good price and I can still make really good money or whatever, send them a gift basket, send them a holiday basket, send them a Easter basket, send them, if really learn your prospect, find out who they are. Do they have kids? I've sent to attorneys before, I've sent gift baskets with Legos for their kids, movie tickets and massage coupons and a dinner night out. So there's toys for the kids. And so really, and then there's also stuff for the adults, right? Speak to them and not just make it where it's just, oh, here's a fruit, here's a random ass gift, make it speak to them personally. Now you got to be careful. You do have to, if you get too personal,
creepy aspect.
Yeah. If you can't do you gotta if you have a pre-existing relationship. So say you've already touched them and talked to them, that's when you can send the kids stuff, because you kind of know that they have kids. But if you send them random shit for their kids, you might have the police called on you. So, make sure you've had a conversation before you've done that, or with attorneys or people in a professional aspect that can be a benefit to your business.
Justin, I want to ask you something. So a lot of people that, they DM me or they text me, or a lot of people I talk to, I've met at events, they get into real estate, they're in it for 3, 6, 12 months and they quit, which I'm sure you see a lot of people who will start your service, they get super excited, and then they kind of lose their motivation. If I was starting today, and I was ready to give it my all, what would you tell me a realistic time frame to stick to it until I maybe say, okay, this might not be the thing I need to do? I know you have some students you've worked with, you have a bunch of people that use your services. When people get started, because there's that valley of despair. Like you think real estate's awesome, and then you kind of go into that valley of despair. Like, oh, this I actually have to work. This is kind of hard. Like, what is the time frame you would tell someone to stick to it? Because a lot of guys that even I've talked to just here and there, they don't really understand that it's not a 1 month or 2 month thing until they're rolling.
So I'll give you an answer, but let me preface it first. Everyone is going to have their own journey of what they do. And real estate is such an easy way to get the shiny object syndrome, right? And you see it, what everybody's doing, and you lose focus and you're all over the place and you're zigzagging to trying to figure out where you should go. You're listening to everybody. You're not doing one core focus. If someone gets into this business and actually has a mentor or uses a coach to get them streamlined and up and running, then within 6 months, they should already have some deals. They should already be having deals. Even within 3 to 4 months, they should have deals. But if they're going to go at themselves and try to figure out, there's going to be a learning curve to it, and they're not going to be doing everything right. That's why, at our company, we try to, and we see those people all the time. We see them send one mailer, and all of my marketing people at the company, they will try to pull information out of, people that call in, other real estate investors, because we try to provide marketing strategy and guidance rather than just taking orders. And it's really important for me to make sure that they're doing that, because I want to educate people and let them give them an understanding about mindset, about going into direct mail. If you're going to just spend money and send one round of mailers to 10,000 people and that's all you have, you're hoping for a deal, we're going to tell you that that's not the way you should do it. You shouldn't do that. We're going to tell you need to be consistent. We're going to give you that information. That's so important for people to understand. But there's so many people on social media telling you to do so many different things that I think for somebody starting out, really cutting through the noise and focusing on what you want to do and how you want to get there with a marketing approach and just being consistent. That's the whole name of the game. Being consistent with what you do and don't let anything else kind of shift your focus. That's going to get you to the quickest success, I think, in my eyes.
Cool.
I think you just named this podcast for us.
Yeah.
Cutting through the noise.
Cutting through the noise. Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Hey, so I know we got a hard stop, guys, here in about 10 minutes. So we want to hit all our segments. Real quick, I will preface, we are going to be on Clubhouse tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, talking about this stuff. If you missed it because you're listening to the show later, sorry, we will put it out there, but we will dive into more of this stuff as well. Just having a roundtable discussion. But all right,
did you
Justin,
get an iPhone?
Don't worry about it. I'm taking care of it. It's going to be taken care of.
Good. That's what I want to hear, man.
I ordered an iPad, but it won't be here till next week. So I have my dad giving me his iPad so I can download it on his iPad. Get in. Don't worry.
Nice, man. Do what you have to do.
Whatever it takes. If I have to go buy an iPhone or an iPod thing today at Best Buy, I'll go buy a friggin'
My question is, who's nominating you for Clubhouse?
I think I got one from your mom last night. She sent me a nomination for it. So
yeah, I'm sure Chrissy would love that joke.
All right, we're gonna go into our real deal segment this time. And Justin, we're talking, and we'll just let you do it today. But we want to have a real deal. We're not looking for the highest dollar one, but really, I want you to. I wrote a note down earlier because you talked about you got bigger assignment fees. So because you understood a lot of things, could you speak on a real deal from contact really quick to end, and where the struggle was, but then how you were able to get more money than maybe somebody else would have been able to get because you had a better strategy built or had learned more.
Yep. Let me just think about this. So last year I had a deal that came through. I had a seller call in. We were marketing to single family and multifamily lots or properties. And a guy called in. He had a 2-family home, really, really rough shape. And the best opportunity for that after looking through it. So anytime a lead comes in, I always look at it from different lenses, right? Should I wholesale it? Should I develop? Should I rehab? What do I want to do? What's the proximity to me? How much time is it going to take? Because at the end of the day, I want to have the highest dollar per hour. That's my ultimate goal for any deal that comes through. After taking a look at it, it's kind of far away from me. I didn't know the market as well. So I decided to wholesale it. So we negotiated on price. I got him to a really good price to what I felt was a good price given the market. And then my next step was how to find it.
What price?
What's that?
What price was it?
I think it was 560,000.
Okay.
It was 560,000. Yeah. So I got him down to 560,000, and this is a pretty high price point area, right? That's going to be I was looking at it as a tear down. So $560,000 for a tear down. So it was a market that I didn't really know all that well. So I had to find the right buyer. And the way that I do that, like if it's an area that I'm comfortable with, I know buyers right off the top of my head and I can give them a call. But for something like that's a little bit more specialized and outside of my market, I'll reverse engineer who the buyer is, and I'll find out who are the other buyers in that area. So I'll look at finished product that just either sold or is on the market. So new construction homes, and then I'll go back and find out what they actually purchased that property from for, to find out kind of what their spread is. So if I see that somebody is building a 2-family for like $2.5 million and they bought it at $800,000 or $700,000, then I know that this person might be interested in my deal for around that same price. So I basically do that and find at least, 5 to 10 builders in that area. And I always call the buyer or the builder that bought it for the most expensive price first. And I'll always go to them.
So you just go down the line, most expensive down to the least.
That's exactly what I do. So because I know that they need less spread. So potentially they do a lot more builds. So usually
they're more efficient. You have more efficiencies.
Yeah, they're much more efficient, and they have crews, and they need to keep them working. So they just have efficiencies. So that's what I started to do. And it's funny, you'll call these people, and some people are like, I don't even want to hear it. Like they literally don't even want to hear about the deal, which is crazy to me. But I found a buyer. He was like, a really big builder in the area, like extremely big. I think he does like a couple hundred a year for like really high-end new construction projects. So we went back and forth. We talked about the property, and he said he wanted to do the deal. So we got him. He purchased the property, we assigned it to him for $660,000, and we made that spread. So again, finding the right buyer that's willing to pay a little bit more because they need less spread, because maybe they're more efficient, understanding the costs. And he didn't come in and just tell me what he was going to buy it for. I basically told him. And the way that I do that is I try to listen to them and ask them questions about kind of, and I do research on them as well, finding out if they're a big builder, if they do a lot of projects, because all this stuff that we just talked about, I know he's efficient. I know he's probably going to need less profit because he has so many projects going on. So depending on that kind of those aspects, I can shift my asking price because I know someone's more willing to buy it if they have more efficiencies, if they have more stuff going on.
Do you also take into account, like maybe you can, when you're feeling him out, that he needs a project or he doesn't need a project, or where he's at and how many things he has on his plate too?
Yeah, I mean, for all of that, I really try to do my best job about listening to not just what they're saying, but how they're saying it. And this guy was just like, he was just matter of fact. Yep, that's fine. That price is good. All right, let's get it done. Like he didn't even care about anything else about negotiating. He was just like, yeah, I can do that. Let's just move on. And he's like, I'll connect you with my attorney and we'll get it set up and we can close.
Best kind of buyer.
Best buyer.
What's that? Yeah. So it's great too, because it provides, like, it gives me the level of comfort that knowing that he can execute and close on the deal. Now, keep in mind, I still have a lot of stuff that I do between buyer and seller to make sure that the deal goes through and he's held accountable for it. But all of that stuff is really important for me because I always want to look at the best interest of the seller once I have it under contract. I want to make sure I do the very best job that I possibly can to make the seller very happy. So I need to make sure that my buyer can close in the right period of time.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a really good, I mean, listen to that again, guys, of how he unpacked that. I think that's really what this game is about, especially in higher dollar markets. That's really what this game about is. It's not just getting the deal. It's how do you maximize the deal that you do have? So I think.
And we kind of already hit on this too earlier in the episode, but what is for the people listening for 2021, because this episode's kind of around marketing. If you're going to give them just one tip, one action item to take and implement into their businesses, what would that be? Today.
Yeah.
I would say going back to what I said, I mean, I can't stress the fact that focus and consistency, what that will do for you. Like, yeah, that's going to take time to focus and continue to do that consistently. But that is just it all goes back, successful people, it all goes back to that focus and consistency. That is the friggin' name of the game. Like, whatever marketing, I'm not going to tell you to do direct mail or only do cold calling or focus on this or that. Whatever fits into your lifestyle. And if you, again, going back, if you have more money or time, do whatever you need to do, focus on it, and just friggin' be consistent. I guarantee you will be successful if you just give yourself the amount of time and just stay consistent.
I think that's what my goal for 2020 is actually been, because I'm a freaking squirrel. So maybe we can go around really quick and say, what are our maybe top 2 focuses that we are, focusing on this year that we think is going to take us to the next level? So Justin, why don't we start with you and then go to Cole, and then
I only have one focus.
Once your one focus.
So my focus for this year, I mean, I still have real estate going on. I have open letter marketing, but my one focus is the software that Investor Hub. We're completely changing that platform to make it much more educational based. So regardless if somebody's new to real estate and direct to seller marketing versus advanced, the product is going to be all inclusive and show people how to market properly so they can be much more successful. That is my number one and sole focus. I've actually promoted somebody in open letter marketing to be vice president. They're taking on most of the operations so that my sole focus can be on this. That's it.
What do you got, Cole?
Like on the business side, I got a few. My main one for my main real estate business, we want to do 20 flips this year. So we're putting everything in place to do that. We did 2 last year. So it's quite a jump. It's 10x, but I think we can do it. We have the deal flow for it. So it's just about, executing, and focus on that. So, we already bought a new one this year. We got another one we're about to buy. So starting January with two of them. And then obviously a lot of focus on, call magic and servicing our clients. We have a lot of cool stuff coming out in the next couple of months that I'm super pumped about. So just getting that all dialed in, making sure we can provide the best experience for everyone that uses our services. And then the personal side is just, for so long, I always wanted to be in business. So I had a bunch of free time, and then I got more and more free time and I had no idea what to do with the free time. So I just ended up working more and just burnt out. So I'm trying to be really intentional with what I do in my free time. So like I'm down in San Diego right now. I just scheduled 6 golf lessons with this like pro golf dude, to get my golf game up a little bit. Just stuff like that, being intentional with my free time and building myself outside of just business. Cause I feel like, and it happens to a lot of entrepreneurs I know, but my identity is so tied to my businesses that I'm on a constant roller coaster. So I want to kind of separate myself from business in some way. So that's my personal focus for 2021.
Good for you, man. That's awesome. That really is. That personal aspect is important. And I think you guys know that I've been kind of trying to do that myself as well.
Yeah, we didn't get into that.
The challenge.
We'll have to do a follow-up. So my focus for 2021 is actually focus itself. So I am that type of entrepreneur that you talk about that thinks I can do everything myself. So I try to do this and I do this and I'm trying to do this. And then I end up being a bad partner because I'm meddling in their stuff and trying to, get that going. And so my focus this year is to focus on what I am good at in my businesses that we have, because I still need to run my businesses. But what I am good at and my highest and best use is sales and connecting people and putting deals together, but not necessarily seeing the deals all the way through, but putting something in place that can be an operator on that side of it. And so that is my main focus for this year, is to be more of the guy that gets those things going, the snowball rolling, and then pass it off and being comfortable with allowing somebody else to see it finish building the snowman. And so that's really going to be my
yeah, and that's huge too, between both of you guys, right? Growing 10x and relieving yourself of some of the responsibilities and using leverage with other people. There's so much to that, and that I don't think a lot of people look at on the surface level. Like, to build something 10x or to train somebody to take over, that takes a ton of procedures and process, but those are the things that build a real company. So you can spend more time, you can be away from business, you're not you're not needed in the business. That is hugely important, that I think people just say, oh, I'm going to increase this, but there's so much behind that. There's so many growing pains that you're going to deal with.
Yeah. And I want control because I want to be the guy, right? But I'm not the guy. I'm not the CEO. That's not who I am. I'm not a good CEO type of person. So like even in our personal business, Chrissy and I just decided that I still get some say in things, but Chrissy is now the end all be all. She's running all 41 of our rentals, our doors. And she's also going to be making all the investment decisions. Like we're looking at a new 24 unit. But I can have input, but the end all be all decision making is from her. Same as we did with, and I learned that from Cole and I did it with Tucker and making the CEO. We both have our opinions. Tucker makes a decision. If we disagree, we makes a decision and we move on and it's done.
Awesome.
And we trust him and we just, it is what it is. We'll fight our fight while it's there. And then once the decision's made, fucking go.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So that I gotta let go. That's a hard thing to do.
Yes. Yeah. No, that comes with experience and maturity through the experience. You just know you can't do it all and you just have to focus on what you're best at.
Cool. Justin, thanks so much. Guys, I hope you got a lot out of this. Cole, I'll let you take it out, but yeah.
Thank you guys. Loved it.
That was
Love talking to you guys.
That was awesome. Appreciate it, man.
All right. See ya.